You, my friends, are on a special edition of the John Fredericks Media Network in West Virginia, brought to you by WVSportsNation.com for all of following WV Sports. It doesn't matter if it's basketball, football, women's basketball, soccer, rifle, rowing, you name it, we got it. WVSportsNation.com, the best sports website you're going to find on WV Athletics. And this is a special edition we have with women's basketball phenom coach. That's really what he is. Coach Mark Kellog. I don't want to embarrass him coming on, but all he does is win. A lot of wins coming out of his women's basketball program here in Morgantown. He's got a bunch of home games coming up, non-conference games. We're going to figure out how he schedules like 100 home non-conference games in a row. We're going to figure that out in a minute. Coach Kellogg's going to be joining us here momentarily. It's good to have you with us. And one of our sponsors for the Mark Kellogg Show, our good friend Rocky Simmons. Everybody knows. If you're in West Virginia, you know Rocky Simmons. For over 30 years, Vision Homes has built hundreds of custom homes right here in Motown and the surrounding areas. Now, their expert legal team, led by Rocky and his family, well, they build brand new custom homes that fit your needs, your style, and your budget. That's the Rocky man. Best of all, they lock in your price before they start to build. Whoever does that. So you stay on budget, guaranteed by Rocky. Now, no land, no worries. Vision Homes can help with that too. So whether you're a first-time home buyer, you're looking to upgrade and build your dream home, or you're looking to downsize, you're an empty nester and simplify your living space like Ann and I did here in Washington, D.C., ask Vision Homes. That's all you got to do. Ask Vision Homes. Invest just 1 hour with Rocky and his family. His mom's there, sons are there. It's a family company. 1 hour, and they'll talk you through their easy step-by-step home building process and answer any questions you may have. Just visit askvisionhomes.com. That's askvisionhomes.com, and you can see how simple it is to build a house you, my friends, will be proud to call home. And Rocky knows Coach Mark Kellogg. He's like a groupie, goes to all his games. So, Coach, good to have you with us. You know what? You have such a winning tradition and a culture that you've built. One of the most enjoyable things is when I go to the AD luncheons once a quarter, and I get to talk to you and some of your players. But first question out of the box is, how do you replace a leader like J.J. Quinterly, drafted, now playing with the Dallas Wings in the WNBA?
Yeah, well, thanks for having me, I guess. First and foremost, John, good to be on here. And yes, Rocky is a great fan and supporter of the program and just a tremendous person in general and very giving. So I'm happy to be here and sponsored by Vision Homes. But yeah, I don't know if you ever you don't replace JJ, you just replace production. So JJ, the person, the talent, the intangibles, that's the hardest stuff to replace. Now we'll spread out the scoring. Somebody's going to score points. Every team loses production every year, and you replace it in different ways. What she could do defensively, in the steals, and this is the defensive Big 12 Player of the Year that we're trying to essentially replace. Like, some of what she can do is what at times can be difficult. But we'll just miss JJ, the person, above everything else. She was a tremendous talent, and she's done a great job in the WNBA. And so super happy for her and excited for our kids on our roster that have the opportunity now in front of them.
Coach Mark Kellogg, women's basketball coach, West Virginia University. Let's go to a couple of these early games. I know you got practice. You're on with us at 12:15 Eastern. I think you said your practice starts every day. What time? About 1:15 or so?
Yeah, 1 or 1:30. We got a meeting at 1 today, and then we'll get on the court about 1:30.
Okay, you're ready to go. You working them hard?
Yeah. We've had a great summer and great early in the fall here, and got some conditioning and workouts and weights, and so their bodies are feeling it a little bit right now, going through some shock, but in a good way.
You always coach a physical team. How do you instill that in some of the younger players you have coming in?
Yeah, they just don't really have a choice. They kind of have to follow the lead of the ones that have been here and the style of play. And we've had this really tremendous defensive identity since we've been here, and really over my coaching career at different stops. But now it's just you get tremendous athletes to get to showcase it a little bit more when you get to a place like West Virginia. And so, yeah, the new kids don't have much of a choice. It's kind of either you're going to get left behind or you're going to understand how hard we expect you to play and within the system and structure in which we put in front of them. and then continually trying to find ways to get a little bit better offensively. But yeah, we're just trying to show them the way and then allow these new kids to showcase their talents as well.
Coach, a lot of people, I don't want to get ahead of you, but a lot of people are pointing to the Greenbrier kickoff, just a reason to go to Greenbrier, if nothing else, to see your team. But that is November 14th. That's a little bit in the non-con schedule, but you're squaring off there against Duke. How did you put that together?
Yeah, it was kind of got presented to us, the Greenbrier, the high school. There's been some high school tournaments down there because my son's played in that event already. And then I think they've had a men's tournament, and now they wanted to kick off a women's tournament. And my director of operations, Kayla Scott, who does a fantastic job, was the one that kind of was spearheading this one. But yeah, we had the opportunity to play Duke on a neutral floor. Duke was Elite Eight a year ago, maybe ranked inside the top 10 this year. So yeah, just a good opportunity, get to our fans down in Southern West Virginia that maybe don't get to see us a whole lot. So maybe a new fan base. And I think they told us they sold that thing out or sold more tickets in the first 24 hours than any other game they've ever had down there. So yeah, really fortunate to have some interest in that game.
Listen, I think it was a brilliant idea because you want to build your fan base, outside obviously of the metro area. You got a lot of fans in that part of the state. And look, any excuse to go to the Greenbrier Resort, go. I just went there. What they have, the annual Chamber of Commerce thing there that Ann and I went last week, I believe, or two weeks ago. But you could be in a lot worse places in November than at the Greenbrier Resort. So that's a good thing, good little thing for your team. You open the season November 3rd. I mean, can you believe that? That's what's today, the 8th? 2 months away, you guys are opening the season, and you open with a home game against Purdue, Fort Wayne. These non-conference early games, you look at, Fort Wayne, Purdue, they're not particularly, I think they're going to be competitive. But, the problem with these non-com games like this is, this is their biggest game of the fall. They don't have anything to lose, Coach.
Yeah, well, I've been at that level. So I came from a mid-major, and I know what that feeling was like and the opportunity. And, you don't get a ton of them at the mid-major level. So when you do get them, yeah, they are big games for you, and you want to take advantage. We understand that in scheduling. I think we try to put together a schedule based on the team we think we're going to have that year. IPFW was actually really, really good last year. And so we're going to get a test right off the bat. And, some of those mid-majors are talented. They play a good brand of basketball, and sometimes they're hard to guard because of just the things that they do differently. So I think we have a really good schedule. We have, built-in home games, road games that will challenge us, neutral floor down in the Bahamas right before Thanksgiving, where we may match up with Ohio State. So, we're going to get challenged in a lot of ways, but we need to continue our home dominance and get that home court advantage, and then figure out how to win on the road at the same time.
You're going to love that tournament in the Bahamas. I went there with my family last year. The men's team was there. And it was on Thanksgiving or before. I think it was I remember eating Thanksgiving turkey there in the Bahamas, so it must have been Thanksgiving week. Ann and I and Joe went down there for Thanksgiving. It's a great environment, great people, and it's a basketball hotbed down there. You guys are going to have fun, and it's going to be very competitive ball.
Yeah, no, it will be a great challenge for us. And unfortunately for me, on a lot of these trips, I don't get to go explore and enjoy the island as much as maybe the players and the fans get to do that. But it will be nice. It will be warm down there. It will be beautiful. Great venue. Good talented teams will be down there as well. And it's a true tournament. So we'll kind of have to wait and see who we play.
Well, it's going to be fun, no doubt. Coach Mark Kellogg with us. This is a special edition of WV Sports Nation. Go to WVSportsNation.com on the John Fredericks Media Network. Coach, you scheduled 9 straight non-conference home games. We talked about Purdue, Fort Wayne. You got Kent State. You got Temple. A whole bunch of them before you get to Texas A&M. How'd you get all these home games?
We just don't have a true road game. We've got the neutral game fairly early, with Duke, and then we have the neutral over Thanksgiving. So it's 9 either neutral or home before we play a true road game at Texas A&M. It's just the way the schedule really worked out. We didn't set out to be that way. But I do think when you get to the Power 4 level, you do end up with way more home games than you do road games, just because of how difficult your conference schedule is. So you have to be a little careful, scheduling, as you don't want to underschedule, you don't want to overschedule, you want to try to get it right, but that's not always easy to do. And especially in this, portal day and age where these rosters change so much, you just may not know ahead of time what the opponent's going to look like. So build it again based on that team. Like I said, we've really tried to have a home court identity here. I think this is, if it's not the hardest place to play in the league, it would be one of the hardest places. And that's a contributing factor is the fans and the environment that we've created. So we're certainly thankful for that.
We're with Coach Mark Kellog, women's basketball coach, West Virginia University. They start in a couple months. I mean, it's just right around the corner. It's hard to believe. We just got football started. Now we got basketball coming up. And this segment with Coach Mark Kellog, brought to you by Tri-County Plumbing, serving all of Mountaineer country, keeping your water hot, your pipes clear, and sanity intact. Very important to keep your sanity intact, especially if you're coaching basketball. Tri-County Plumbing, a proud sponsor of the WVU Mountaineers and Lady Mountaineer basketball. Go to tricounty-pc.com. That's tricounty-pc.com, or give them a call, 304-241-1034, 304-241-1034. Coach, you mentioned the travel. I mean, it's always an issue now in the Big 12 because you got to go to Arizona, got to go to the West Coast, Utah, etc. How do you guys in doing that last year? You had a tough travel schedule. How do you get your girls ready for that?
Yeah, it takes a toll on you as the year goes. We had we call them 2 plays, where you stay on the road for 2 games, you play 2 games on the road. So we had 2 of those, and those are 5 or 6 days straight on the road. We actually of all 3 of those, we lost the back end of all 3 of those. Won the first game, lost the back end. Now maybe the better teams were on the back end also, but either way, we need to be a little bit better on those when we get that schedule, which we don't have yet. So we don't even know what that's going to look like yet this year. We travel pretty nice. So it's hard for me to complain, again, coming from the mid-major level where you're in buses and, commercial airfare and traveling across the country. Geographically, that's the way leagues look now, though. Just about all of them, other than the SEC, are geographically the footprint spread from essentially one coast almost to the other. And Big 12 women's basketball is 3 different time zones. So that's the hard part for us, being one of the few in the Eastern time zone, is we're typically going the other direction, which means later start times for us and later arrivals back home. That's when it becomes the grind, is when you get home at 4 or 5 in the morning, and then you're expected to maybe play 2 days later.
Coach, when you look at those back end of those double back-to-back road games you lost all the back ends of them. As you look back on that, did fatigue set in? Was that part of the issue, you think?
Yeah, no, I don't know. Yeah, we went back and evaluated it and looked at it, and not necessarily. I thought we did a good job, and I thought our kids, and we know their hydration levels and their output and their energy spent and everything in the game before. I thought we were focused. I thought we were prepared. So I just think we got beat. And like I said, I think the teams we played maybe were the better of the 2 on those road trips that, were on the back end of it. And we just didn't play well enough to win. And that probably was really about where the excuses stopped.
Coach, walk us through how you're navigating your way now through the new way to recruit in the portal, NIL, pay to play, now additional scholarships available. You're not necessarily a revenue producing a sport, obviously. So you're in the kind of the Olympic category in a one way you are, one way you're not. But how do you navigate through that versus when you started, you went to a high school game was over. You liked a player. You went and knocked on their door. You sat down at the kitchen table. You talked to their parents. How's that changed?
Yeah, drastically. I don't know if we know. I don't know that we have an answer to that. I think it's changing. It's evolving, I guess, as we go. I think as soon as we think we have a plan, something changes again, or maybe the NCAA changes a a rule that might alter, kind of the plan. The rev share and the hard cap is something that's very different. And, I think we have a plan. But again, it changes all the time. We're in the midst of recruiting and bringing several kids to campus. These are mostly, what would be next year's freshmen. But how many freshmen do you want? Can you win with freshmen these days? Do we need to wait for the transfer portal? But then that's a huge unknown with the transfer portal. And, now I don't think there's going to be quite as many. I don't think the portal will be quite as hot as it has been after all the COVID kids and these extra years of eligibility are off the table now. I think just from a numbers perspective, it probably comes down a little bit. So, yeah, I think for us, the idea is, can we get quality in the freshman class? That might just be 2 or 3 freshmen. But this year I only have 1 freshman, and a couple of years ago we didn't have any, which I had never had in my 20 plus years of being a head coach. So it's new uncharted waters for us. We talk pretty much daily in our staff meetings about recruiting and trying to navigate this. We have 1 kid committed for next year as a freshman, and then we're, pursuing a couple others that we think would make us better. And then we'll, I guess, pause and figure it out on the back end.
It's interesting, Coach, how you outlined that. Coach Kellog with us, women's basketball coach, West Virginia University. Season starts in a couple months, non-com games. But, the way you outline that, you're in a Power 4 Big 12 conference. You're a championship caliber team. You're going to be competing for the Big 12 championship, likely again, as you have been, certainly go in the tournament. And the problem you've got, the way you're explaining it, is, it's tough to get the freshmen in now because you got so many upperclassmen in the portal that have been freshmen at a smaller school. Now they got some experience. Oh, you want them. It's tough to bring those freshmen in the way you did in the past.
Yeah, we just don't, if it's when money got involved, now that's changed it. So, the amount of players on our roster, I think, is starting to decrease a little bit, where we do have 15 scholarships available, but we don't have essentially money to go to all 15 players. That wouldn't probably work. So I think we're starting to see much smaller rosters. We have a roster of 11 this year, and that is by far the smallest roster I've ever had. I would imagine next year it probably stays somewhere close to that as well. There's just not enough money to go. Freshmen, like, rookies, in the professional ranks, you think would be a little bit cheaper, or hope that they would be, but that's not necessarily kind of holding true right now. I think they're, at least early on, the indications are that it still costs quite a bit to get those. So again, do you go there with freshmen? Do you wait and see what happens in the portal? But they typically, free agents portal, are more expensive than the rookies or the freshmen. So again, we're just in this weird kind of dichotomy right now of what really is this going to look like in another 6 months. And I don't think anybody really has the answer.
What do you believe, Coach, was your biggest acquisition for this upcoming season out of the transfer portal?
Oh, that's a really good question. I don't know. I've actually really like we have 5 returners and 6 newcomers, and I really like all 6 of the newcomers. I don't know if I could even probably give me another month and I could probably give you that answer as we get a little bit closer and have even more practice time, because we're so limited right now. But we're going to ask a lot of them to have an impact, and I think several of them will have a really big impact for us.
Almost half your roster is returning. Is that average in the Big 12, or are you ahead of the curve on that?
It probably is around average now. I'm sure some have. Honestly, I don't know every roster, but a lot of them do have several new players, and would have certainly several more than what we do. And then I would imagine there's some rosters that had a little bit more. But we had 6 seniors a year ago, and then somehow we rolled right into having 5 more this year. So we're just staying old. It's just going to be junior and senior heavy here for a little bit, I think.
Coach, not to tip your hand to some of your opposing coaches that might be tuned into this show right now, because that's what a lot of them do. Trust me. As you look at this team and the makeup of it now, and you're going to have practice here and meeting in 20 minutes, practice in an hour, what's your biggest strength?
Well, hopefully still on the defensive end. I don't know if we'll be quite as elite. We've been like top 5 or 6 defensively in the country the last 2 years since we've been here. And so I'm interested. We've started to put in some of those concepts here even more recently. So again, give me a few weeks to answer that one, to know exactly what our strength will be. We'll be a little more versatile offensively. We've got more depth than we've ever had since I've been here, even though our numbers are smaller. We have 11 that can really help us and play a significant role. So I would imagine scoring will be more spread out. Hopefully assists get up. So hopefully we take a step offensively. We'll look a little different, both ends. But we need to keep our same defensive identity. So I hope that's our strength.
Who's the team to beat in the Big 12?
Yeah, I think early indications are TCU probably is pretty good, but Baylor, Oklahoma State. I mean, there's going to be the Kansas schools. Iowa State for sure would be one of those that would be at the top. So I think there's a pretty good contingent of schools that have been up there that are probably still there.
I think it's going to be interesting when you go to Texas A&M, College Station. It's going to be packed. SEC school. What motivated you to get them on the schedule before conference play?
Yeah, well, we played them here last year, so they came to us a year ago. So this is the return game to them. It was just honestly, we kind of looked through leagues and, maybe we can play one SEC team in the preseason. Can we play one maybe ACC type team or Big East? And so, you just go through it kind of like that and find different teams or areas you want to go to. Sometimes it's if we have a kid that's from Texas, then maybe we want to get that kid back to Texas, to play in the non-conference or close to home. So again, it just presented itself and we jumped at it.
All right, we've only got a couple more minutes here with Coach Mark Kellogg. We appreciate his time, giving us a little insight into his upcoming season with the WVU Mountaineer women's basketball team. And again, this segment brought to you by Tri-County Plumbing. One place for plumbing you want to go, serving all of Mountaineer country, keeping your water hot, pipes clear, and keeping your sanity intact when things go south with your plumbing. You don't want to have that happen. Tri-County Plumbing, hey, they're a proud sponsor of WVU women's basketball and the WVU Mountaineers, and we thank them for that. Big fans of the Lady Mountaineers. Go to tricounty-pc.com. That's tricounty-pc.com, or give them a call, 304. They're in the 304 area code, of course. 304-241-1034, 304-241-1034, and you're good to go. Coach, I know you got to go. Let me ask you this. The environment, the culture you've created really seems to be, from outsiders talking, your signature, that you have a culture that is very different than some of the other teams in the Big 12. That was kind of your signature when you came here to WVU and then created that here. Give us your when you talk about the culture that you have, which I think is critical to any organization you build, is the culture. What are the three critical elements of a coach for you?
Yeah, well, I think there's two different, when people talk about culture and family, and I think those are buzzwords, especially in the world of athletics. For me, it's like the character that you have and you surround yourself with is most of the time what creates just culture and true family. And that's whether that's my staff, our players, or, we put a big emphasis on finding the right kids that gel, that do have great character, that were raised the right way. That makes our lives a little bit easier once we get them. We're still going to have to keep an eye on them, and we want them to grow and mature, and we're going to help them along those ways. But really finding quality kids. And then there's the on-court culture, identity, philosophy, how we play. Those are really important. When you put them together, and so you're winning on the court because you got it and you find talent, and you have a great locker room, that's when it obviously is at its absolute finest. And so for us, those are the two important pieces. We have a philosophy, we have a system that we play, we have an identity on the defensive end. So we know what we are, and then, we've got like some pillars to our program, some core words, like the family and trust and balance, being extraordinary in everything that we do. How we communicate is really important. So those are kind of some of our core values from, just our wording. But really, I want every kid to be themselves. So I say, be you, align with us is one of our little kind of taglines. So I really want every kid to feel like they can be themselves in our program, because that's when I get them at their best. I
love that. Be you, align with us. That is so beautiful.
Yeah.
See, now there's your culture right there, right?
Mm-hmm.
We got it out. I love that.
Yeah.
All right, final thing. Tell us about your staff.
Yeah, been really fortunate, tremendous staff. I mean, I just absolutely love our staff in a lot of ways. JC Carter came to us from Texas Tech, so he was the associate head coach there, and so we got him to come to the rival Big 12 schools in a similar role. We had run in the same circle for quite some time, but never worked together. Aaron Grant, who was a big-time player back in the day at Texas Tech and drafted to the WNBA and played overseas, phenomenal recruiter, tough, to the point, very direct with our players, and they appreciate that from her. Jessica Grayson and I were together for 5 years at Stephen F. Austin, and then she left, and then I kind of stole her back, I like to say. And Kayla Scott, who I talked about earlier, was my director of operations. We were together for 6 years. Same thing. She kind of got stolen away, and I to a bigger school. Then I stole her back, and yeah. But like from our creative, Tristan does our creative. Caden Roberts, who's a Panhandle, Eastern Panhandle, Martinsburg guy, is here and done our video at a WVU grad. And then our newest one is Cassandra McKay, who just came from Colorado State, who's done a really good job. And that's our newest one. So, yeah, just great strength staff and training and just, really, really good people that are great at what they do.
Coach Mark Kellogg, head coach, WVU women's basketball. Be yourself. Align with us. I love that, Mark.
Yeah,
I'm gonna write that down here in my studio. I love that. Be yourself. Align with us. That is so great. Coach, Thanks for being with us. Can't wait. November 3rd, we're going to have you back in a week or so. But November 3rd, then you got Purdue, Fort Wayne, then Kent State. I think that Temple game's going to be fun. That's going to be fun. Temple's always good, inner city school, so that's going to be fun. And then, of course, no way that I'm going to miss your Greenbrier Invitational, just so I go back to Greenbrier.
Yep. Whatever it takes to get people there, right?
Coach, thank you. People want to follow you and follow your organization. Where do they go?
Yeah, well, I think Coach Kellogg 12 is my handles, I guess, as we like to say on some of the social media stuff. I'm not the most active guy on there, but then obviously at the WVU website, you can get all the other information that you need.
And of course, if you want to really get the insight and follow everything going on WV Women's Basketball, we have a beat writer for that at WVSportsNation.com. That's WVSportsNation.com. We're the only site in the country that has a women's basketball beat writer. Check that out. I know. All for you, Coach.
Appreciate it.
You know what our new motto is here?
Well, I don't know. Be you, I guess. Align with us. I don't know. What are you going with?
Be yourself. Align with us. I love that. Yeah. Coach Mark Kellogg, you got to get to your meeting. Thank you for your time, for being with us.
You bet. Thank you.
All
Thanks
right,
for having me.
John Fredericks Media Network, and want to thank our sponsors, Vision Homes and Tri-County Plumbing. Rocky Simmons, you're the man, Rock. Tri-County Plumbing, serving all of Mountaineer country. That's right, just for you. Tri-County Plumbing, they love Mountaineer sports. Hey, they're like his saying, right? Be yourself, align with us, align with Tri-County Plumbing. Tri-County-PC.com, Tri-County-PC.com, or call 304-241-1034. This has been a special edition of the John Frederick Show and WVSportsNation.com. Now back to Rob Carson and regular programming. See you soon.